Good evening, everybody. Welcome back, as ever, to Building Blocks, where we program Minecraft mods live on camera and watch things frequently go horribly wrong. And tonight is probably not much different. We are starting out by... Well, first we're gonna have to look... I'm gonna have to show off a few things, I think, to, like, describe what we're doing today. But let's have a look, shall we? So, let's see. Last week, I believe we were working on boss attacks, but we had some trouble with their aiming, and we still have some trouble with their aiming, but we also got the kobolds over here to actually generate a structure when they are trying to lay an egg, so we can actually have cohesive nests and such. And I think there's a little more I want to do... excuse me. I think there's a little more I want to do with that, but not at this precise exact moment, but it is still nice, nonetheless, to see. And since then, I have added a new command. This is /settlement, and it's pretty complex, suffice it to say. We can create new settlements by using settlement add. We can edit the NBT data of existing ones using edit. We can ask which one is where we are currently standing. We can list all of them, which makes a handy-dandy list. If we also say a specific one, we can use a number or a given name. We can see all of its rooms as well and what type they are. And then we can also move them if they have a marker item. If they don't have a marker item, this usually does nothing. But if they do, for instance with a hive, you can do that. We can also remove them. Fairly straightforward. And then there's room, which itself is fairly convoluted, because that lets us add rooms, edit the NBT data of rooms, move rooms, as well as remove rooms. Move lets you actually set the start and end of them. And that's really powerful. That whole command basically gives you complete access to the settlement system. You can tell it to do whatever you wish. But I started to notice pretty quick that it's kind of a headache to actually be using that all the way down to the room level. So let me see. All settlements can have a custom name now. All settlements can also have no AI as well as be invulnerable. These distinctions being that if they have no AI, they don't do anything with their settlement level, like their top management level actual updates. And if they have the invulnerable tag, then they will not be abandoned or forgotten by the settlement manager ever. Whether they have no population and no rooms whatsoever. But now we have this little block here on top of the planks are not included, is called a drafting table. Looks quite quaint, I feel. And this is what it drops, a blueprint, should you actually happen to, plonk it. So, there we go, there is a blueprint right there. And if we open this up, we got a very basic UI. I just managed to get this working just before stream, because I was having a big issue with why it wasn't properly altering the actual settings, so yeah. Fix that now, though. So now we can, in fact, move this around, and it has to be at least a 3x3x3. It also must always contain the actual drafting table's position, which is essentially a guard to make sure that you never try to put a room where you don't actually have physical access. And it will go up to a 16 by 16 by 16 area, which is quite a bit. I don't imagine people will actually be needing much more than that. Would it look nicer on a crafting bench? I mean, I can do that. Note, that is not a crafting bench. Always have to remember that. That is a rift. There we go. It's more or less the same thing. But we have a variety of things we can do with these. They have a built-in list of blocks that you can add, that you can modify with MBT data. So if you want a new room to have like specific blocks inside of it, you can just code in the block positions of those blocks, and then the selection will actually have to include those pieces. You can lock specific values. So for instance, with simple bit mask, I can say the minimum side, the like minimum position, like this one, must be this exact position, it cannot be changed, that kind of thing. Are the rooms able to overlap just then when you had two down, or does one override the other? They, generally speaking, when they're generated by intelligent AI, they don't overlap. But nothing is preventing them from doing so. Also, in order to actually make sure that they couldn't overlap, I would need to loop through every single settlement and every single room in each settlement in order to identify if they overlapped with a given a given new room, which would get kind of heavy in like scaling, rather like big scale kind of situations. So yeah, there's currently nothing stopping rooms from actually overlapping, other than common sense more than anything else. So there's that. Oh, hey Harvey, how you doing? Harvey's just been wandering around over here. Oh yes, if you hold shift, either or, like left or right, you can in fact increase these values by 5, up to the limits. So, it makes things a bit speedier. So, let's see, the scalings of these range from 3 by 3 by 3 to 16 by 16 by 16. Should be pretty decent. And if we hit sign, once we've gotten those values, then it should lock all of them, which will mean that we'll not be able to change anything anymore. And then those values will also be displayed inside of our blueprint item here. So if I just, and let's go to there, and hit sign, nothing can be edited now. And we grab this. There we go, there's our blueprint. Now I'm not 100%, yep, there it is, can't be moved away now. I'm not 100% sold on how I'm currently selecting the function, if any, of the actual like room. There's about, oh, I should maybe mention, there are 21 different kinds of room now. It used to be like maybe 10, but it's quite a bit now, and currently you just have to click this and iterate through them all, and I'm not 100% sold on that. This section here is for changing the custom name, which currently is the name that gets used when you're like referring to it with commands and other such things, but I'm probably going to change that to be actually like more of a display name. So currently there's only really one custom name, which is like if I fly over here and I enter that, you see that on my action bar is, say, it's telling me, because I'm in creative mode and it has no custom name, what function the room has. I would prefer to actually be able to give like a JSON statement there, so we could actually have prettier kind of names there. And that would require having a separate thing from the custom name called display name, so you can actually make sure you don't heck up, because if you give the system a custom name for a settlement or a room that has a space in it, it treats that as a separate argument inside of the command, and that means you pretty much only have the first word to use to refer to it. It's kind of a pain. Kind of a pain. But anyways, our job today is to start off by getting the /settlement command to recognize blueprints, because if we can do that, then it makes it much easier for us to actually designate and add new rooms to settlements, because we'll be able to give players a blueprint item. They'll be able to go out, set where they want all these things to be, just designate what function they want it to be, that sort of thing. And then when they're ready, we can just /execute the settlement command from them and just gobble up the bound blueprint and such. So that's our job. That's what we're starting off with. And it should be fairly straightforward. He said, immediately apprehensive. But if you need an idea of just how complicated the settlement command is, it's fairly straightforward. It is mostly just a switch case. But the tab completions, if you see there, like every time you go into a command and you hit tab, it gives you a suggested value. This is about, let's see, 437 and 323. This is about 110 lines long, which means the tab completions are longer than a lot of commands entirely. Like, pretty substantial. Pretty substantial right there. But anyways, so let's see. We want to go to room add right here. So if args.length equals, let's see, the variant would be room, then we'd have the settlement, then we'd have the add, so that's be 3. So if it's just 3, then we want to do our from hand. Otherwise, we go through all of this. And now it has a problem because room add doesn't necessarily exist here. And let's just have that be null. Okay, so if room add does not equal null, then we add it, and then we inform the manager of that change, and then we notify the person that sent the command. Otherwise, we want to tell them that that didn't work. Won't necessarily have much information beyond that, but yeah. Okay. So we need an item stack. Let's see. Can I just get it from equipment and armor, held equipment? Apparently it does not want to give me that. Okay. Let's see. If send instance of entity living base, then we should just be able to grab it directly from the hand. Could do it just from an entity, but we probably want to make sure that our entities and such are exactly what we're looking for. I guess theoretically we could do this from an armor stand. If you could get it into the hand of the armor stand. I don't actually know how you get things into armor stand's hands. There's a thought. Hey guys, how you doing? Okay, so living equals that. And then we can ask the living for its held item. We'll go with the main hand. We could say either or, but I'll just add some bloat to this really, so let's just say main hand only. Not unlike enchanting. In fact, there's a fort I could register that. But a new mattress to help you hurt you back. Oh, that's good to know. Apparently it doesn't mind. Interesting. Okay, there's the enchantment. I'm presuming it's asking for the held item from the entity living base. Okay. Let's see, you must reference this already. Like, it must be able to find itself, surely. Probably not. Oh well, leave it. Leave it be. 'Tis fine. Okay, if held stack dot get item equals vo blocks drafting table. As that would be item from block, that one. Okay, now we need to check if it's actually been locked, if it's been fully signed. So that would be, we need to make sure it has a tag compound. Because when you break the either the drafting table itself or whatever block it's on, it stores all the data it had inside of it. It just only displays it when it's actually fully locked. So let's see, tag compound, stack data. This is oddly eerie music for ambience. Okay. So let's see, we need to make sure that the stack data has the block entity tag as well as the locked tag. So that would be that, and stack data dot get compound tag. Okay, I believe that's correct. Let's see, we can check it with the lock drafting table. Okay, so compound, block entity tag, okay, very good. Tile entity drafting table just needs that integer. If we get that integer and it's 15, then we know that it is a locked, we know that it's a finalized room. So if tile data dot get key, well, get integer more specifically, there we go, locked equals 15. Okay, we now know exactly what it should be, so now we can just reconstitute the room. And that should just be tile data dot get compound room. Okay. So if stored room doesn't equal null, then room add equals stored room, functioning and all, and then we also want to shrink the held stack. So we add the room, and then, or at least we attempt to add the room, and then all that happens. Good, okay. Let's give it a shot. After this, I'd like to make a quick volumetric function to try and get a limited range of volumetric space so that our kobolds don't generate rooms that go beyond walls quite like that. If they wrap around, then fine, but I prefer them to at least try and limit themselves a bit. Probably be a tad on the laggy side, but it should only need to run fairly rarely when things go wrong. Okay, so blueprint. Let's set this to be a school. Why not? Haven't set up that just yet, but that should be fine. Okay. Let's move it up. Does seem like a decent size for a school. It does not to me. That'll do. Okay. Sign. Pick up. So that's not got anything. That has a function and everything in it. Good, good, good. Okay. Settlement. Room. One is that kobold area over there. Adds. Successfully added room. Hurrah! And if we go into it, tells us it's a school. Good, 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 good. Perfect. So settlement, list, 1. Function nest, function school, which is this one right here. Ah, perfect. Okay. So room, 1, remove, 1. We see the ID value next to them on this far left there. Away it goes. Perfect! Oh, you love to see it. You love to see when things go right. Ah. Okay, let me... do I wanna... Yeah, we'll leave that part alone for the time being. Okay, on to volumetrics then. Glorious. When things work the first time. I know there's gonna be a problem. But when things work the first time... Actually, there's a thought. Did Room previously have a failed, like, thing? Yes it does. Okay. So much lang related to that one command as well. Okay, so I just need to tidy up and get the UI part of that working. Very good, very good. Okay, let me just add that here. Added drafting table and blueprint for ease of adding rooms to settlements. There. Look at me actually keeping documentation. Okay. Theo Helper's probably the best place for this. It's where a vast variety of things go here. So let's see, public, static, list, block position. Get quick volume. We'll need an origin point, and we'll need a maximum distance. Oh, we're also gonna need a world. Of course. Okay, don't know how well you guys can read that, but returns a list of all replaceable blocks within reach of the given origin point. And we are in the world. Good. Okay. So, I'm going to do something that's relatively silly here, which is I'm going to make a while loop without a limiter. Which is to say, a while loop that theoretically can be infinite. That's generally a bad idea, because it means there is an inevitable an inevitable context in which your game could completely freeze. But, whilst I don't have a hard limiter, we do have a soft limiter here, which is the maximum distance. So, we'll go to the absolute most maximum distance cubed number of points. Hopefully that won't cause us any troubles. So let's see, next set equals that. Volume we want to Do we even want to add origin? There is a point. Let's see, test block. Trying to think, let's jot this down in a sequence, makes it easy to get your head around. Okay, for each block in next set, test every neighbor for air or replaceable. Adds all valid neighbors to next set. Loop until next set empty. Okay. Hey Nick, how you doing? So let's get ourselves... How about no, Nick? Let's see, is replaceable the world in that position there. Okay, so if is block replaceable origin world, then add that to our volume, and also add that to our current set. Okay. We have these two separate ones rather than having one, because if we looped through a list whilst we were also adding to it, then firstly, we might never end. Secondly, we would have a co-modification error, which is to say, programs don't like it when you're expanding the list they're currently iterating from. So, for block position in current set, let's see, position in current set, there we go. I don't know why my brain's gone a little frazzled today. Whilst I was working on getting the GUI going for the drafting table, I had a situation that cost me like 90 minutes of time, which was that if I moved the X coordinate, it worked fine. If I used like the max coordinate, the one that's all in positives, it was fine. If I moved it along the minimum coordinate, on the other hand, the whole thing moved, which made no sense whatsoever, because as far as I could tell from the numbers, it was functioning identically in both cases. Eventually turned out to be a rendering bug. But I might have put a bit too much brain power into that. How are the kobolds going to college? I haven't really nailed down what kind of structures besides the nests the kobolds will use. But they should definitely have access to, like, have usages for other things, like stores. Obvious thing. Okay, so each one we find that is useful, we set that in our next set. And we add that to our volume. Yes, okay. And at the end of that, we clear the current set. And we add everything from next set. We should also ask if next set already includes it. Nick, mind the spam slightly, please. Let me see. Barracks, housing, farm, workshop, mine. Let's see. We've got barn, barracks, bedroom, farm, guardroom, hospital, jail, kitchen, laboratory, library, mine, nest, no function, ritual, school, stable, storage, store, throne, tomb, and workshop. Is the 21 different functions I have expanded this to include. As I say, I feel like the drafting table might need a slightly more user-friendly selection process for going through these. I also probably need to actually start adding like translation to them, because at that length it's probably worth it. So as long as the current set isn't empty. Okay. Now, no part of this, currently, factors in distance. Which means this, if it's in an open area, will go perpetually. So this is the part where your game freezes. But let's see. So current set, next set, volume, which is the main thing that we're concerned about. And at the start of this, we're going to empty next set. To make sure that it's empty. So the second thing is we want to make sure that we don't have any duplicates. Because that will... If there are duplicates involved, then we'll be iterating over multiple things at the same time, and that might end up with us having more than one copy in volume, and it might also just slow things down. We want to make this as lean as possible. Let's actually change this to replaceable volume. There. Thankfully, our box rooms will actually allow a input of a list of block positions. Okay, so while current set is not empty, iterate through current set, check all of the offset positions, add them to volume if they're replaceable and we haven't already found them. Make sure we do that for the offset as well, because those are not necessarily identical values. If they're in the volume, then we know they've been added to the next set at some point. If they're in next set currently, then we know that we've already, like, scheduled them for checking. Game Freezer is bad, almost as bad as the blue screen of death. I virtually guarantee you someone's modded that in already. Like, I pretty much guarantee that. Well, let's get something a little bit more chipper, shall we? There we go. Big giant circles. Always a good. Okay. Go to our Cobalt code. And go to the point where they try to make a new nest. Oh, and I need to remember that I still haven't actually limited it by distance. So let's make sure we do that. There. Okay, so if we haven't found a new nest, then we need to calculate one. That is where it's finding just a random position. There we go, volumetric. So nest.add VO helper dot replaceable volume around the test position in our world to a range of, we're going to say, let's say 8. There. So that'll be a 16 by, well, about 17 by 17 actually, kind of range. So let's see, how many blocks is that? This is not the actual volume because it's cubic, it's spherical rather than anything else. But that is nearly 5,000. Yep. Maybe I should dial that down. I'm gonna just add like some actual stuff to this. Returns a list of all contiguous replaceable blocks around a given point. Hey Dusty, how you doing? And then I want to say note, higher maximum distances will dramatically increase CPU load. It's not the same as the volumetric scan, but it will give you an actual, like, map, as it were. Okay, so we do that, feed all those values to the nest room, set it as a nest, and then add it to the settlement. Should be fine. So, if we set that to work inside of our test environment, we should see that the resulting cube fits more towards the actual space of the room, rather than being massive and protruding outside of it. Unless it goes through the door. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Checking for only air or replaceable blocks should mean that it gives the AI a bit better idea of like what the actual useful area is. As well, I wonder if water counts as replaceable. Let's find out. Let's see, is replaceable? I presume it is. But I don't see anything. Well, I suppose we can test that. Just by flooding part of the room with it. God, have we almost done 2 useful things in 1 hour? It almost never happens. Okay. Settlement, remove. The only one we have. There we go. Okay. And see if our kobolds. I think we just egged one of the guards. Entity data and type is world. Kobold C equals 1. Carrying an egg. Please. Oh, there we go. Ah, perfect. We didn't even feel that happening. Wow. Okay, so how's it done? It's come up here, which is fine. And it went to there, which is also fine. Glorious. Okay, that worked fun. That worked perfectly. We didn't even notice. That is perfect. Hurrah. So if there's a particularly high maximum range, and if the terrain is sufficiently squiggly, like underground caves, for instance, it'll still enclose non-contiguous spaces by the sheer virtue of the fact that it's fitting a significantly more shapely, like, space to a cube, but... Hey, that's progress. That's good. And again, we didn't even feel the hit of that. Granted, Elemental's a bit of a beast. An aging beast at that, but a beast nonetheless. Now, they don't have to have... The points that it uses don't have to be, like, reachable. Theoretically, they could just, like, 15 blocks up, and that's it. Just off a pillar. But that works quite nicely, I think. Very good, very good, very good. I suppose the next thing we maybe do is find the center of the room generated and then run the coordinates from that, but that would be at least 2 different calls to a while loop with a tenuous at best hard limit, so we'll leave that be for the time being. I think that's good. Okay. It gives our kobolds a little bit more sensible in a little bit more sense in like how to actually build their structures. Very good. Not as smart as the changelings, but the changelings have 2 separate generators. So, and we're really, very, really a like hard case of this. Okay. So let's see, what's next on my list here? We added the drafting table to the settlement command. Good, we added our volumetric as well, that's a nice little addition. Identify the cause of targeting failure in the mob cast spells. So, when we cast a spell from a boss attack currently, it is not very accurate in the slightest bit, despite the fact that we can see the target is looking at us precisely. And I'm not entirely clear on why precisely that is. My hunch was that it meant that the look helper that's being used to actually like rotate our mobs and such was client side, so it wasn't actually updating on a like on an actual like server side basis, but that didn't seem to come across properly. That didn't seem to like work when we like checked for it, that sort of thing. So I'm not 100% certain. Ooh, made a storage room. Interesting. And now it's building it because I'm here. Hang on. Wait 1 moment. Go away. There we go. Okay. Just wanted to leave Harvey with something to do. Okay. So, attack, cast, spell. Over here, we have these target styles, which more or less are meant to be checks for where the caster should be looking, because that is how the majority of spells actually define a target, based on the looking of the entity. But of course, if the entity isn't looking properly, then we have an issue. So we need to go through our spells. So let's see, spell Sunburst is our current major target. Most spells will, let's see, get target range. Yeah, that's based on the caster level. Look Vec. In Entity, it's just a vector from that. Does it change perchance in Entity Living? It does not appear to change in Entity Living, but if we check Entity Player, is your Look Vec any different? Actually, I should be looking at Entity Living base, shouldn't I? Nope, that appears to be just that. Interesting. So we need to check. We need to check the rotation pitch and the rotation yaw. Bearing in mind, pretty much all of that's going to change quite rapidly, I think. But from there, we determine, like, where to spawn the actual effect. The alternative is we just clone where the, like, yeah, get spawn style. Look, i.e. where you're looking. And that is calculated inside of cast spell. So, yeah, ray tracing. It is given for an empty living base, so that's something. There's not code from VO in here, so that gives me a modicum of hope. I suppose I can get rid of the Kobold's egg registry now, which might actually be the last of them. But I might have gotten rid of them already. Nah, registry. There we are. So let's see, there's the whale, which is still relevant. There are spells, which are still relevant. Then there's eggs, which I don't think is used anywhere anymore, because it's certainly not relevant to kobolds anymore. But it's apparently still used by their eggs. Interesting. Yeah, that's code I can rip out now, because they don't need to know about that. Because they just have a room in the settlements that does it for them. Handles all of that. Must be a very painless birth if the room produces the egg rather than the kobold. There is one other thing I want to do with the kobold eggs, which is, currently, your source of kobold scales is more or less just hanging around them long enough. They produce them in the same exact way that chickens produce eggs. Which means that the most efficient way of getting kobold scales is to trap a kobold on top of a hopper. Which is evil incarnate. More or less. But I feel like now that we've gotten the nest code to be pristine, works beautifully, we can instead have eggs that hatch, or kobolds whenever they, like, maybe kobolds as well whenever they, like, grow up a stage or some such, leave a, like, carpet-like layer of scales that you can just break to actually, like, get the kobold scales you need. In which case, the most efficient way of getting kobold scales then is to actually help a kobold settlement grow and survive. Now, to a certain extent, that would be best achieved by culling the population periodically, but at least then you'd actually have to engage them. I don't recall if there's actually any use to kobold scales currently right now. I think there is. I think it's used in some. Let's see, VO items. Let's find out. Let's see, eggs. Nope. Ears of goblins, scales of kobolds. Okay, yes, it is used in one of the potions. It is used for making arrow resistance potions. There you go. Comes in handy. So I'm not gonna get that out of vanilla. Anyways, I will catch you all in about 10 minutes. Gonna go on my break. Go grab yourselves a drink or a snack. Welcome back, everybody. So, there is a new function inside of item spell container, which I believe we're going to try and make use of. If we hop over to it, we can see we now actually have the cast spell function. And if we correlate that with what all of our components are, then we should be able to get it to actually work from our entity given values that we just... Well, player, we just use the raw values. Entity, we can just set the actual values of where we want them to be, which will bypass the problems with the look helper, hopefully. Not necessarily entirely clear to that end, but yeah, so here we have all of these values, and we want to have them just take the specific values that we get, I think. That's only if target vector is null, which it shouldn't be in this context. So I think it'll be fine. So in the case of Sunburst, it is of the type look, meaning it will spawn where the caster is looking. We have a little bit more variety to that, namely that we know exactly where it should be spawning, be it the floor, the feet, nowhere, just sort of at the target, and all sorts. So for that, we need to get actual positions for our target vec, in the case of all of these. Which is... oh well. Let's see, one spell effect, inverted, if it is, world, the entity casting, which is the source boss, the actual stack, which might be relevant in some cases, you never know. Let's see, in the case of target feet, we actually need to know the attack target. But we don't have that if we are a if we are a player, so let's start that with just null. And then if source boss instance of entity living, then we say attack target equals entity living source boss attack target. Okay. Now, fortunately for us, the feet position is always your actual position. It's always measured from your feet, which makes this a bit easier. And then we just need to give it the source boss's pitch and yaw. Okay, now in the case of just at the target, position and eye height is more or less the same. We just need to adjust the Y value. By the eye height. There we go. Okay. Let's see. None. It just casts it from the mob as normal, and then there is floor. Target spell at floor in front of caster. That's a little bit more complicated. We can say that we want to aim it at the floor between the mob and the target, if there is one. Otherwise, we can just say 45 degrees, I think. That's probably fine. Under most circumstances, 45 degrees should get you the floor in front of you. So let's see. We need the forward vector. Then we need to rotate that downwards by 45 degrees. And then hopefully, that will give us what we're looking for. So let's see, vec 3D. Look, vec equals source boss dot forwards dot rotate pitch negative. I am guessing that's gonna want radians, because most things in this game do. Okay. So now we need to ray trace to identify it. So let's see, source, actually we have worlds, don't we? Yeah. Right. I could be barking up the complete wrong tree with this entire approach, but we won't know that until I've done it, which is an important thing to know. Ask that to be normalized, just so I know it is. Let's see. Trace doesn't equal null, then we say that. Otherwise, we'll just say our end point. Or actually, we can just ask for the hit vec. And we'll aim for like 15 blocks. There. 15's a meaningful number. That should be fine. Okay. So in the case of cast spell Sunburst, its aiming type is target feet. So now it should just hit my feet. It should just spawn the Sunburst at my feet. I'm gonna have to go through a bunch of these spells and make sure that they actually operate from their position rather than hooking to the caster, wherever possible. But hopefully that should be fine. In the case of Sunburst, it is just from its position. Okay. What is the range? Range is long, so yes, that should be fine. Okay. Let's go get hecked up by Dave. Oh yeah, we ordered Japanese food, but Fuzz is currently in charge of the dishwasher, and all of the forks are dirty, and I didn't have time between breaks there to actually, like, wash a fork. So now you get to enjoy my terrible, terrible chopstick skills. Essentially, what we're trying to do is completely decouple the casting of spells by bosses from where they're actually looking, which is a bit of a cheat, I grant you, but, well, it's a cheat I need to work anyways. Dave? No? Okay. Oh, you're still in this mode. It sounds cool? No, it's a complete cheat. It would be better if it actually worked properly from the mob, but that's where we are, I guess. Okay, casting magic missile, which works just fine. I need to get further enough away for that, which appeared to work. Seems... Oh boy. that's a big one. Magic missiles also specifically wait for you to be able to take damage, which is not a problem we're gonna have later. What is the cooldown on that? Cooldown on that is 5 minutes, so... It's like a guy's coming up behind you and then you're just bring up your fist knuckle out. Yeah, which is a mainstay of ridiculous, overpowered edgelord anime. They nod their head. They talk, to be specific. What's happening there is that they are programmed for when they are first loaded to, like, walk up to you and say hi. So, Dave is just having a conversation here. It's pretty cute. That appeared to happen at our position, so I think that worked out. It's not killing me because I have resistance 5 currently, or maybe resistance 10. I don't even know anymore. I have an anime that's just typical in Kung Fu movies. It's used very sparingly in Kung Fu movies. It's used a little more often in Batman movies. Okay, so that works now. As far as we know. It's gonna be on a case-by-case kind of basis, because Sunburst is spawn at look, meaning at that position. A lot of other spells aren't. And there's... oh, I don't even know how many spells. These, like, now. Like, Let's see, that... yeah, that's just look. Most of these are just look. I think. Like, it's the ones that have a perform that involves them actually like checking for the caster. Those are the ones that worry me. But I think most of them are fine. Are he actually like attack spells here? Zone of Silence, maybe? Nope, that's fine. Yeah, okay, so if they're just look, then it's probably fine. If they're head... heal might be an important one. Yeah, because then it has to get the target entity from the caster. And that involves getting the look target, which is not perfect. But we'd have to go through basically every possible spell. I'm not dreadfully fond of doing that for the next, like, 90 minutes, so let's move on to our next thing. We'll presume that is done for the moment. Okay, which means we move back to the Broodbringer, which is the thing that I imagine a lot of people want to see anyways. So let's see if she's in. Probably should just have this print out how many spells it actually loads. That's probably meaningful information. Okay, Hive 2. Which I don't think currently has a hatchery, but we can fix that. Just by modifying the data with /settlement. Oh, edit. Was it room? Edit. Which will be 0. Let's see what the data is currently. Okay. Apparently is a nest. Oh, is it? Hang on. Did I just check for... Did I just check the kobold one? Probably did. There we go. There we go. Now it's a nest. And there's the broodbringer. Okay, good to meet you, man. Okay. So we need to do texturing on the head part there, the crown, the mantle, as I believe it's more specifically known. And I do really want to change this back piece, because it looks more like a thorax than it does an ovipositor. Unfortunately, as we found out, if you Google ovipositor in, like, images, you can't show that to stream. You can thank Bad Dragon for that one. You also pretty much can't search any insect-related terms that might relate to ovipositors, because it comes up with a ton of spiders, because spiders lay eggs. Bit of a problem, that. We found that out the hard way. But okay, so yeah, let's do a bit of modeling and see if we can't make that ovipositor look actually more like an ovipositor. So yeah, those are my options. I can either have, I can either break the Twitch terms of service, or I can traumatize myself. Ain't life grand? Changeling ref all over again? Oh no, the changelings were fine. It just came out with a lot of My Little Pony stuff. That wasn't so bad. Okay. Let me just reconstitute our model here, because Techni doesn't really load anything anymore. It's kind of borked, I have to say. Let's see, -2, -2, and +2. And your position is 0, 10, 0. Oh, 0, 10, 1, my mistake. I'm more or less only interested in the exact part of this. I think everything else looks fine enough. As is. 4, 4, 5. And -2, -2, and 2. Oh, right. Exact 1 is actually a 0. There. They look like they line up, but this one actually has a slight increment on its scaling, which makes it stick out a bit better. Let's see, that is -1.5. -1.5, and +7. And then we have a pair of points. more or less just need to make this look sufficiently bulbous as to be like something you only have for like like your work, as it were. But not necessarily something entirely out of place. Okay. So that is the egg sac model as it currently sits, which again looks more like a 4X to me. Wait, you specified the image you decided to use? Oh? Which image? I don't recall. But okay. I'm gonna do the silly thing. I'm gonna Google for reference on this. Changing the one that would absolutely break Tim's service. Oh, the one that was absolutely My Little Pony porn? That one? Thanks, Google. Thanks for that. Because there's... okay, there is a race of creatures. Here's a story for y'all, here. There is a race of creatures in the more recent, cartoon series from My Little Pony called changelings. Everything in that series is equine. So the changelings are basically horse bugs with, like, crooked little horns on the top. And they're black, or at least very dark purple, that kind of thing, and they're insectile. It's canonical that they're like are laid in big hives and have like larvae and all that sort of thing, and they also shapeshift. It's like their main thing. They can cast illusions that change their shape, which makes them very similar to most changelings in any kind of fiction, but also the various oddities ones. And for reasons that I am not necessarily personally privy to, the My Little Pony fandom loves to anthropomorphize, to at least some degree, basically everything. So, if you search changeling on Google Images, you will find a bunch of horse boys, essentially. And because also we can't have anything nice ever, that includes a lot of artworks of a particularly adult nature. And I can tell you from that Google image results search that one specific piece of their anatomy is definitely not anthropomorphized. It is most definitely still equine. The changelings in various oddities were not made to look like the changelings of My Little Pony, but I grant you there is some overlap. I did not model that, nor am I going to now. But there you go. Okay, back to work, as it were. A lot of skewers, actually, it looks like. That's curious. Sound like I've been through an ordeal? Do I? Do I? Ugh. Well, blimey, that thing's long... Okay, I found a picture of a grasshopper, and my immediate, like... Here's a lesson. Your eyes will tend to focus towards the center of frame, unless they're given very specific reason to be off center frame. That's why when you, like, are framing something in cinema, you will put the actor, like, generally pretty close to the middle. Because of the way this image is framed, I thought this was the ovipositor. No, it's this tiddly bit over here. A lot of things do seem to have like a pair of pincers on either side if there are ovipositors. But I'm not actually clear on why that would be. Oh, for the love of... I don't think I can show this on stream. It's not from Bad Dragon. It's from the other thing that makes this this difficult to search. Oh, that's straight up an a speculative anatomy piece. So that's how they look like horses, but still lay eggs. Oh, My Little Pony fandom, I have precious little reason to like you at this point. Oi. Oi. Okay. Lying Dies ASMR. Oh, I really shouldn't have typed this. Okay. Yep, this is the spider search now. Literally, the third entry is dozens of spiders emerge from egg sac. Yep, that's a black widow, alright. Yep, wolf spider. Identifying and getting rid of spider egg sacs. Well, I know what the latter part of that article is. It's called fire. Okay, going to specify carrying. Oh, that didn't help me much. Okay, it's just spiders. Spiders carrying egg sacs. Okay, or covered in small baby spiders. Yeah. Oh, that one looks like a tripod from Invaders. Well, from like War of the Worlds, whatever it was.
Take care of yourself, V.
That was just carrying it like a freaking flying saucer. Okay, that's interesting. The egg-sac's just like a dish. They're just like mandibling it up underneath. That's odd, but still terrifying. Oh Christ, they get bigger. Oi, that's just a fantasy picture of a giant spider. Okay, okay, pulling out. No, thank you. Oi, some do that? Well, good to know. Make it all the easier to stomp on them with a boot. Ay. I had, I think that was this past Sunday actually. We were doing a Patron Games Day. I had a spider actually descend from my ceiling directly over my desk. I believe the next thing that the patrons picked up through Discord was a clapping sound. It was like, yeah, for the record, if you're new here, I don't know if anyone here is, but if you're new here, I'm arachnophobic. Very arachnophobic. Like, not great. Anyways, what if I search alien egg sac, will that be significantly kinder to me? Bizarrely, yes. And I suppose I should say that I'm very thankful this is mostly the Ridley Scott Alien and not, like, anything else. Okay, bearing in mind, Alien was designed by H.R. Giger, who was well known for very interesting artworks, and also that Alien itself is a, I believe it's rated 18 movie. Think I can actually show this on camera. I think there'll be more NSFW. I will try to avoid it. I scrolled for a decent ways and was not able to find anything, so I think we're good. But okay, so let's see. That's the ovipositor. Or actually, no, that's from Covenant, I think. Yeah, that's her egg sac right there, which looks like utter nonsense. Like, ridiculous. And there it is. There. We don't really want to be going nearly this far out. Second image reminds you of blueberries? I would not recommend going near these. The last guy that went near these did not end well for him. Yep, that's a sack of eggs. Alien chrysalis. Right, there was a thought like early on in the development of Alien that they would find one of the crew members, his name escapes me at the moment, and he would be like metamorphosing into an egg, and it was the idea of how there were all of those eggs in the original ship in LV-46, but they dropped that later for like aliens. They're just like, oh well, look, there's a queen alien, it lays all the eggs. Pros and cons, pros and cons. A lot of people have thought that Aliens was was arguably actually one of the worst entrances in the Alien franchise, for the sheer virtue that it made the aliens too relatable. Because not specifically to humans, but to something that we knew. I believe it was only until exceedingly recently we actually got to see what it looks, what alien xenomorph like vision looks like. What? It looks like an alien egg sack. It tastes like I'm guessing that's some kind of fruit. I have no idea what though. This is actual bugs. Doesn't appear to be spiders, but nonetheless, I'm warning you, this is bugs. That looks like a I think that's a queen ant, possibly a termite. Oh, aren't you pretty? Aren't you very, very pretty? Aww. Just so pretty. Also, there's Jonesy. Just over there. That's adorable. The dream. Do you ever look at a bug and just want to touch it? It doesn't come up very often, I have to say. So basically what we're seeing here is distension, we're seeing lighter coloration, we're seeing... oh, there's a spider. There's more spiders, actually. Going up, going up. Translucency would be an interesting thing to include, but I don't think we'll do that. Okay. Let me add the torso to this, and then we can hopefully get a much better size. And yeah, I'm done looking at spiders today, thank you very much. This one's actually relevant. Hang on. Yes, if you didn't know, the changeling model does have abs. Amusingly. Ooh, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Shadow. I kinda needed that. I do have some friends that have undergone, I guess you call it exposure therapy. Like, you routinely expose yourself to something that makes you incredibly uncomfortable to just sort of, like, immunize yourself against it. I don't think that'd work for spiders. The only thing that's happened over the years is I can, like... I am better now at murdering, personally, the smaller ones. But above, like... I will say above, like, thumb tip size, I cannot deal with them. Like... Just... Oy. This will be the part where I hand off this project to the art department and they figure out what this looks like, so I don't have to be paid to look at spiders. C'est la vie. I am the art department. Okay. So, we definitely, I think, want it to be longer, because right now it looks kind of piddly. Has to be said. Where's the compass skill book one time and it was the best you'll ever do around them? Ay. Relatable. Okay, we could dip that down a bit, give it some impression of weight. I think we also, like, tilt the entire thing down. Have a look. Let's see. Egg sac. Basic rotation. Yeah, it does tilt. About 8 degrees on the pitch. Give or take. Yeah, let's just add a bit more to that. Does that want to be longer? I will be giving that some... I almost just said a word that you also shouldn't type into Google image search. We'll give that some scale increase. Don't try and figure out what the other word was. Let's see, what did I give that? That is my 6. As you get older, you realize more and more things you just can't type into Google image search anymore. It's just sort of an unfortunate circumstance, really. Just sort of the way things go eventually. Tragic, tragic. Do I want to move that to there? We'll see how that goes, at the very least. I do think this end piece needs changing, and I kind of like the idea of having those pincers in it. I don't know why those pincers are there on so many ovipositor models, I guess you'd call them, in nature, but I kind of like the look of them. They look mildly menacing. So let's see if we can't put something in like them. That's 1 by 1 by 5. Maybe they're meant to guide. I don't know. If anyone in my chat happens to have studied ovipositors in insects, do let me know why these pincer things seem to keep turning up. Not a sentence I ever thought I'd ask, but there we go. There we go. does that look a bit better, do we think? Rule of cool? I don't usually make a play to intelligent design, but something tells me God wasn't running by the rule of cool. Defense or trickery? Maybe. Maybe they're used in mating. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if like everything that has an ovipositor necessarily fertilizes after laying. Who knows? Anyways, that looks a bit better. So let's see how that. Let's code that in and let's see how that actually looks in our lass, our lady. Okay, so let's see. The second one was this one. That's the one that we have truncated and changed. So we can take that out. 552. And then we added the new one that's lower down. Sack 2, pay 1. For heuristic study, probably. Okay, and for that we want to be saying that your rotation is 6 degrees. Minus 3F at 3.5, 4668, and we'll add the 0.25 back there. Ah, forgot an F. Okay. Now we also have rotations on the pieces below this, so I probably want to be attaching those to Sack 2 as well. These all have the same rotation points, so should be fine. Let's run this and see what terrible mayhem I've wrought. You do know some insects have fake pincers on their rear to trick predators not knowing what the head is. But alternatively, if everything looks like the head, then everything also looks like the butt. And the butt is the most valuable part to attack. Well, I guess you'd rather than roll the dice and, like, which part's gonna... which butt is going to pinch back. Yep, no. Oh. I do think that's looking better. I do think that is looking better. They may be the Circe? The Lannister? Okay, right. Continuing on. Negative 1.5F, negative 1.5F, and 12. 3, 3, 1. But that does have the same rotation as the big bulbous part. Okay, good start. But the pincers at the end do not. So that needs to be a different one. These do have the same pitch. Okay, so that is. Just gonna call these prongs for the time being. And these need a different one. Okay, and then basically the same again, but for the right. Pronger, I hardly know her. Okay, let's see how that looks. If I Google image search Cersei, am I just gonna come up with a whole bunch of really poorly typed out Game of Thrones fanfic? No, apparently I will find a lot of pictures of somebody who plays football for Madrid. Which I have to say, wasn't expecting. But I do know by sheer virtue of, like, Twitter trending titles that there's at least one footballer named Areola. So that shouldn't surprise me as much as it does. Put him on the every possible model? No, that will be someone's kink. that will be someone's kink. I am not doing that. I almost feel like we need to make those longer. Also, one of them doesn't appear to be quite properly angled. That is looking good. Help if that wasn't a huge mass of text in my screen. There we go. Okay, so we still got the searching something like a football player instead. Oh, I'm not sure I want to know what you were searching, considering I literally just mentioned a footballer named Areola. The areola, if you are somehow unaware, is the dark circular fleshy area around the nipple. Okay, we can see the tilt. There, that's good. You were searching a Minecraft YouTuber. Uh-huh. Sure you were. Sure you were. Okay, yeah, we do need to modify that slightly. Just bring that backwards. Let's see, 11. And what have I gotten wrong about the other prong? Minus 1.2, minus 5, 11, everything else is good. Okay. So we should be able to just reload and this will be fine and dandy. Football players who also play Minecraft on YouTube. Your friend group now has a whole joke about Joseph Hill's American football wide receiver. Huh. Well, no wonder I had not the slightest clue what you were talking about. You're talking about rugby, not football. Not even very good rugby. If you're playing rugby with armor plating, you're playing it wrong. Especially if you're playing rugby with armor plating and yet still manage to, like, heck yourselves up with concussions. Tell you what, back in my day, we played rugby proper. Far away from me. Okay, there we go. That's where those should be. I almost want to animate the prongs so that they, like, go in and out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Is that looking better? I think I need to increase the space by which that last little bit is out, but yeah, that's looking better. Still looks a little bit too much like a 4X, I think. Is 4X the right word? Hang on. Let me quickly Google image search insect body parts. Abdomen. Okay, the 4X would be this chunk. That's the that looks like an abdomen. This, of course, is the head, in case we weren't clear on that. Don't worry about it, so my mistake as well. That's why I looked it up. Anyways, how does that look, do we think? Also, I love the little mitten hands. They're just hanging out, you know. Just wiggling. I like those. They're very cute. Yeah, I think move this part a little further out, and also take a break because it's 5 minutes past and I haven't done that. So I'll be back in 10 minutes. See you then. Welcome back, everybody. So, just before we left off, we had altered the model of the ovipositor on the broodbringer, so hopefully it looks a bit better in-game. Now I've done a little bit post the break there, just a teensy bit. Not too much, so hopefully it really comes across nicely now. Let's find out. This is the final hour of our stream tonight, so hopefully we can get some decent work done quickly. That might just end up being base textures, but we'll find out. I do think there's a little bit more QA to do to it, but I think it's fine. Or I think the model is close to a good point now. Also, some people mentioning that the changeling models are awesome. It's good to know. I feel like if it takes as long as is intended to get to these creatures, they should like look worth the effort. But I don't think they're the best creatures I've ever modeled. I think that honor rightly goes to Kieran Dave. But anyways, let's see how this looks. Kieran Dave and the Witch's Sylvan costume. I think those look really great. That needs some work, but it moving definitely looks creepier as hell. But okay, right. So I need to tweak the values there so that they don't go to 0. I don't know if this is going to update live, but I guess we'll find out. Nope, it's not. Okay. But yeah, do we think... I feel like these pincers moving is... little bit creepier. Makes it more clear as a component, as it were. Let's see, the default on them is... for the rotate angle Y is 4. So say 3.5 plus that. Let's see, the left one is the positive. That'll be Y. Okay. That's what I got wrong. Okay. At some point, could you show some of the things I've missed? Could you be slightly more specific, Dusty? Because I don't know what you were here or weren't here for. I don't have a constant, I don't have total causal knowledge of the chat room, I'm afraid. Boy, that would get really terrifying on Twitch, but still. I mean, you're looking at the broodbringer right now. You've seen, I hope, the, like, rooms and such. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm guessing I don't have to go as far back as the volumetric scan. Look. Madam, I'm gonna put you on some anesthetics. I think you maybe need to cut down on the stimulants. Why is that only happening to one of them is the real question. Oh, right. Because the other one isn't actually doing anything, it's just flipping between... That's what's happening. Is this one is animated properly. That one is just constantly inverting its value. I've heard of making that clap, but never quite like this. That's hummingbird frequencies right there. I have, like, just purely out of left field here, I know. I have actually been trying to gain weight this year so far. I've been trying to gain weight for the last few months, and I think I am approaching 110 at this point, 110 pounds. Bearing in mind I started at 103. So I think I'm making progress. But dang if pretty much all of it hasn't gone straight to my butt. Would have kindly preferred if it had gone elsewhere, but you know, guess you take what you get. Okay, we good? Yeah, there we go. That's better. So what do we think? Do we think that's... Do we think this is the final form of the Broodbringer's exact / ovipositor? Maybe if it tilted lower a bit, that might give it more of an impression of weight. Yes, Harvey, she's beautiful. I know. Making your human, like, your elf form is going to be very entertaining, I have to say. That's a thing that we're missing here. We're seeing her changeling appearance, which is what you only see if you've got, like, really maxed out reputation with them. We currently don't have any reputation with changelings, which is why we can see Harvey as their disguise there. Yeah, can we happily move that down? About like a couple more degrees. It is not listening to me, so I'm gonna have to reboot anyways. Okay. Yeah, just give it like a couple more degrees there. Could be bigger. If we get much bigger, we're gonna be stretching the level of credence. Oh, be more specific. Last thing you were actively here was the modeling of the changeling's Fae outfit, which is Harvey's outfit. Okay. Trying to think what came after that. I think after that we started working on the Broodbringer. But let me... if we check the changelog, I guess I can find out. Mystic Aggregator, the UI for the markings, Mithril, Mode of Magic, config for the caster level, lockpicks... oh, changeling's not imitating another mob. Oh, Jesus. Okay, we added lockpicks. You can now give spell-containing items like scrolls the unbreakable tag, which will mean that they don't break when you cast them. You've missed a bit, yeah. a fair hunk of stuff. Okay, so that's about 2 degrees lower. Do you think that's low enough? Maybe lower? I think that's low enough, at the very least. I think that looks good. Okay, so, let's texture. So over here, I have already imported the mantle and where its pieces go, so we need to now move the egg sac pieces around. Actually mark where they should be. And ideally we want to do this in a way that we allow for a duplicate below the actual base texture so that we can actually have, again, owing to how Minecraft has evolved, headwear layers to these pieces of the egg sac. these away for a moment so we can actually see where the head part is. Oh, the head's much bigger than I thought it was. Okay. A nice hat for your egg sack, I guess. Could really do with generating some of these as verticals, but that just makes them really more of a headache to actually plonk in the model. It's typically the left one that gets mirrored, so let's put that there. Not that it matters, because they're only 1 pixel wide anyways. Okay. What piece is... Those are the body parts. It's a sentence, yep. Yes, Lion, those sure are the body parts. What program am I using for modeling? This is Technic. I don't... Like, it has an export, but I don't know if that still works. It's a very old program. But it's still handy for, just, like, chucking stuff together. It's very limited. Okay, does that look like a full and complete texture to me? I think I can do better than that a little bit. Move this. Let's move that to 0, 0. And if I want to, later on I can have another piece of that on top. How about the prongs? This will not quite fit there. Unless I was to actually generate them as a rotated. In which case, I could definitely fit a headwear layer in for them. I don't know why we would, but I could. Let's plonk them there. Let's presume we're not going to headwear layer them all. Let's see, that's 20-0. And there's this big Hagen honker, which I really do want a second layer on. That is not going to fit in there. No, so unless I can move those two. Helps if you're cloning the values from the right thing, doesn't it? There. Okay. That's beautiful. Okay. That slips in just quite nicely. Okay. Now that does mean I don't have enough space, or there's contiguous space, to put headwear layers for these two pieces. This part, easy, it's tiny. These I don't think would even matter too much because there's only a pixel on each side. I think that's probably fine. Okay, can I export as a texture map? Will that still work? Answer is no. Or maybe. Hey, it lives. It lives. What do you know? Okay. So let's see, the texture that we want for that is changeling broodbringer features. Okay, and let's plonk the values that we just got into the actual pieces here. So that wants to be 1425. That wants to be 0.25. Wait, nope, not rotation point. Texture, please. Fortunately, pretty much all of these are unique scaling, so it's fairly easy to see what needs to go where. Or which is which, rather. And the other one goes to 3214. Okay. Let's see. That goes to 00, because it's small enough to fit just in the nook. Okay. The left prong. Is at 22-0. Is that everything? Yes, I believe that is. Okay. Do we want to make any changes to the mantle? I don't think so. I think the mantle is fine as is. So let's save that. Let's refresh our resources. Let's have a look-see. It will look like garbage initially, but that's because it's, that's just because it's like freshly created. Yeah, headwear for your egg sac. Keep them nice and warm. So one of the interesting things about being autistic is occasionally your brain will make connections faster than you can, like, theoretically articulate them. So for instance, I was just about to say, I have traumatized myself by staring at the things I fear the most, and so that I'm able to, like, create them. Then my brain connected that to Batman, which is why he's, like, a bat, because he's terrified of bats. In which case, if I was, like, to become a superhero, would I just be, like, taxes or something? Behold, I am a reasonably noisy crowd of people. Spider-Man? I guess I would be Spider-Man, but I'm not afraid of Spider-Man is the interesting thing. No part of Spider-Man actually scares me in the slightest bit, partially because it's bright red and blue. I guess Spiders-Man would theoretically terrify me, but they don't come up very much. Okay. One healthy ovipositor right there. Okay, let's get some quick textures on that. Spider-Man Lang Series 1. Never! Not happening. Okay, we do not need this anymore. The man-spider is a recurring thing in Spider-Man lore, but Spider's man is also a thing that occurs inside of the Spider-Man canon. Inside of the Spider-Verse, there is a Spider's man, which is a sentient, like, hive, I guess, of spiders who all simultaneously believe that they are Peter Parker. That is Spider's man, and he shows up a couple times. In a few places. Comics are weird sometimes. Okay, let's bring in the Broodbringer's actual file here as well. Ooh, that probably would work better if I actually loaded that in simultaneously. Okay. There we go. Okay. We could also see the witches' versions of those, but I think we'll stick with this for right now. Okay, so just sort of base skin tones, or shell tones, whatever tones these are, I guess. Just to start with. Now, these, and that are all part of the ovipositor. Which one of these is the first one? It is the one that is 442. Well, that's a 3, so that's a 4. It is this one. Okay. And then it is this one. I think only one of these needs to be included. Let me grab the witches one. Of course, the witch's changeling appearance, which is very similar to a broodbringer, has of course this big long tail. Yeah, we do only need the one. Good. Okay, just grabbing the mantle, or the crown, whatever you want to call it, really, from the witch there. Okay, good. Right. We don't want that end part, we don't want maybe a little bit of that part. That should give us something to work with. Yeah, this program, if you're curious, is called Glimpse. It is a successor to a older program, which was made by terrible people and named in a very poor taste way. Lang's mouse ASMR. Oh, is my mouse that audible? Now, for whatever reason, ovipositors are very frequently a sort of pale yellow. Again, I don't know why this is, I'm not an entomologist. But we're just going to take our cue from that, and besides it takes us close to what these tend to be anyways. Okay, and there's just this little squiggly bit at the end, which probably wants to be same color as the main egg sac kind of part. Okay. So real quick and dirty. Let's see how that goes. Good thing about doing texturing is you can, as long as you refresh in the resources there, you can change the textures whilst the game is still running without having to reload it. Pretty handy. Come on. I desire forks. Oh dear. Ow, my hand. Damn it. There. Yes, Dusty, because I suck at using chopsticks. Admittedly, I don't do it very often, but still. Not like that, Dusty, and you know it. Okay, that's a little yellow jacket, but and very basic textures as well, but not bad. Not bad at all. I think maybe make this fan piece at the top smaller, indicating submission, I guess, I don't know, or subservience to the witch, but maybe I should make the wings tilt further back. Just so they're not, like, obstructing the ovipositor. I do like the stripes. I do like that. That does look good to me. I think maybe reduce the size of these, like lift them further up, that sort of thing. I do think we obviously need texture on the yellowish part. And I would like to have a bit more of a transition here. Maybe increase the scaling on this too so it's a bit clearer that they're separated. Which we would have to refresh for, but... Let's just hop back to here, shall we? Just add some noise to the outer edge here. Doesn't need to be symmetric. We just want to kind of blend these together a bit. I think that's the right side. I don't know. We'll find out in a hot second, I guess, when I refresh this. Okay, yeah. Having a bit more of a gradient, so it looks better. Okay, let's add a bit more detail to this, because this is very flat. Did I get the right side there? Yes, there, good. And also, yes, there, good. I think. Actually, it might just be entirely underneath there. Might just be entirely exact there. In which case, it doesn't actually matter which side I picked. Okay, let's go to this and see if we can add some noise. This wants to be mostly vertical noise. I might do some trickery with this at some point and make something a little interesting with it, but for the moment, this is blue. Okay, now would it be kind of circular noise? In the sense that this is where the whole thing's building to. This middle part is completely occluded, we don't need to worry about it. Not too much anyways. Okay, back to vertical. Well, actually, this part it's horizontal, just by the sheer virtue of how this is arranged. Be really nice if I could get it to sort of like, not quite heartbeat, but just like oscillate in scale. But that would be a massive headache, suffice it to say. Because for that, I would need to have an entirely separate model specifically for the X-Sac. I would need to know exactly the offsets and such of it to the rest of the model, and just, oy, that would be such a massive pain. Not worth it. I don't think I need to really put much of that into here, but it couldn't hurt. But if I can just take a... Okay, and there's this. Should about do for that. Okay. So I do need to still add texturing to that, because that's entirely flat. Let's see. Okay, we definitely got a lot more texture in there now. She certainly sticks out, that's for sure. Admittedly, she is like 6 feet tall, but nonetheless. So, if you were to see that, what would you surmise exactly? Huh? Particularly if you knew that none of the others had this part. Bug, yes, obviously. That part, yes, of course. Summary AAA. Looks like a B. Yeah, that's because of the dark versus plus light colors here. Oh, and I put that on the wrong end. Okay. That should be up there. Okay. Definitely an increased sense of caution. I mean, yeah. There we go. That's better. Let me see if I can find an image of what the lines are reminding me of. Ideally without encountering horrors, but, you know, have to deal, I guess. No, that's quite the one I'm thinking of. There's at least, like, one insect where, when it's got its ovipositor ready to lay an egg, its, like, rear is, its abdomen is severely distended, to the point where, like, there's plates on it that are, like, just sort of, like, separated at that point only. But I am having trouble finding that particular bug. Although, for some reason, I found a link to Wikipedia. which apparently has an article on ovipositors. You do you, Star Wars. You do you. Anyways, yeah, different shaped horns. I think that's pretty good. Let me just set my faction. Changeling. I should change how that's written, but so now we should be able to see Harvey. Yep, there you are. Okay, so that's what Harvey looks like. Kinda cute. And this is what Harriet, I guess, looks like. I don't know why I'm giving them all H names, but... Why are they named? Just so I can refer to them easier, more than anything else. Okay, let's let Harriet down, shall we? So, yeah, there we go. There's the comparison for you. You'd certainly think Queen of some description, I think, especially if you saw them together. We do still need to make a disguise for the broodbringer. That's going to be interesting. But I imagine that's going to be very similar to how the witch's costume is done, that sort of thing. Very distinct, nonetheless. Very big bustle. Like, very, very substantial bustle upon that, madam. But nonetheless. That is all that we have time for today. I do not have... I cannot do the next things on my list in 2 minutes. So, yeah. That's what we got for today. Yeah. That's a YouTube sub. Thank you very much for that. I still haven't figured out why those are enabled. I can't figure out how specifically to turn those off. Oh well. Let me see. My next stream is on Thursday with some Among Us. And then on Friday, we might have a new horror game. By then, I might be a bit busy. We'll find out. Then on Saturday, of course, we have the carousel, playing some random games for the patrons. And we'll be back for more of this next week. Meanwhile, I do make videos over youtube.com/remembercomic when I have time, and everything I do is powered by people like you at patreon.com/lying. Literally everything that I can do is thanks to the people at patreon.com/lying. So, if you're on that, then you got to play in Patreon games day recently. It was a lot of fun. Basically an entire 8-hour day with just playing games with patrons from Space Engineers and Minecraft and all sorts, and Moonwalking, Broodbringer, hello. But okay. And that's all I got time for. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll catch you all as ever. And next time.